Yes. Good evening, people. Excuse me. How are we all doing? Hope you're all having a very good week so far. Obviously, City got the win away to Brentford last night. 25 people in the building. We're on 14 likes. As always, the goal is 50 likes on these streams, so make sure you've hit the like button and help us hit our goal of 50 likes. Subscribe if you're new around here. We've got loads of new subscribers recently. Massively appreciate you all, you gang of legends, joining our community. And if you want to join the community properly, be a HMTV channel member. There'll be a link in the chat now in a sec. There it is. You can be like BREMCI in the chat. I see Briggs there. He's a channel member. For $3.99, you can help support the channel. Who have we got in the building? We've got Akash. We got Subhan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, please let me know. We got Mixta says, is it okay if I send you a message? Saw you in the Big Six. I understand I'm not a City fan. You don't have to be a City fan to join us on these streams or get involved. Just we have a good community here. We've got a good group of people. See Section there as well. Good guy. So if you want to join the community, just come in. Say what you want to say. Say what you want to say, man. Once it's respectful and everyone's getting along, that's the main thing. But yeah, if you want to be a channel member, the link's there. And of course, hit the like button. We're on 17 likes now. Surely we can hit 20 with nearly 30 in the building now. So yeah, let's dive into it, man. There's actually quite a few things to talk about. Mainly good things. I think... Will we start? I think we might start with Arsenal-Liverpool. Now, I know it feels like ages ago now, but it is very relevant to us. Obviously, Liverpool dropping points, and then we went and capitalised to Brentford. I did watch, albeit with a few drinks on me, I watched Liverpool-Arsenal, so I had a fair idea of what was going on. I was a bit surprised with Liverpool and how poor they were, and I thought their siege mentality, now that Klopp has announced his departure, might have brought them that energy in the Emirates that they needed to get the win. But Arsenal steamrolled them, Joe. Like, steamrolled them, good and proper, from what I could tell.
Yeah, complete and utter domination. You even had Liverpool fans on Twitter, which normally they're quite, they downplay it a lot when they get dominated, and they like to pretend that they're more in games than they are sometimes. But I even saw a few Liverpool fans on Twitter being like, no, we were totally dominated. Like, they were outclassed from minute 1 to minute 90. Their goal came from an Arsenal mistake. Like, it wasn't even like a Liverpool shot or anything. It was an own goal, and that was, as far as they came to scoring. That's about as good as it got. So they were completely steamrolled. Like, it was a no contest in the end. It felt like, the further you watch that game, it was 1-1 at half time, and the further it goes along in that second half, the longer you start thinking, it's a matter of if. It's a matter of when Arsenal score, sorry. Not if. It's a matter of when they get their second, because they just looked like they were just totally dominant, which it feels like I'm blowing the trumpet really a little bit, like I'm praising him too much, but they were like Liverpool at the top of the league, and, they'd only have one loss in the Premier League this season, and it's a game that they shouldn't really have lost. To be, dominated like that. Like, full credit to Arsenal, man. They deserved that win. And that keeps them in the race. That keeps their season alive.
I'm just wondering, was Klopp announcing his exit when he did the wrong move? I did feel that it could go one of two ways. The first way being they'll get a siege mentality and do it for Klopp, and that'll drive them, or else it could just derail them and upset what they had going on, because what they had going on before he announced he was leaving was strong. They were really starting to win games with conviction. They were starting to dominate teams. They were starting to play really, really well. And then he's announced that, and yeah, they won at home to Chelsea, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Anybody can do that these days. And then they go and put that performance in at the Emirates, which, look, it's okay to have a bad day every now and then. It happens to everybody. But that performance against Arsenal in the Emirates, a title-challenging team in Arsenal, was poor. Very poor. And then, yeah, you had players like, Van Dijk saying, oh, I'm not sure about my future. And then he tried to cover it up a couple of days later. And so he was taken out of context. Of course, all the Liverpool players are thinking about their futures. Klopp taking himself and his whole backroom staff away from Liverpool, it's going to make the Liverpool players be like, well, I'm not sure about my future. Now, is that something you want? Do you want your players who are, at the minute, challenging for a title, also thinking about their futures? And where they're going to be in a couple of months' time? I don't know. I think could Klopp's announcement about his exit backfire on Liverpool? Could it be backfiring on Liverpool? I'm not too sure. For me, as it stands right now, they're still the team I look at the most. that's capable of going, to game week 38 with us. But it's going to be interesting, I suppose, to see how this develops, because I'm starting to lean towards the side that it was the wrong move.
Yeah, well, Harry Briggsy says here, look how Pellegrini announcement killed City off. Players won't be arsed because Klopp's copping out. I like the use of the alliteration there, well done. Halfway through season, new manager rumours and their own futures in doubt. They're beaching it now. Like, maybe he has. I mean, that's a good comparison, really, considering look how it ended in Pellegrini's last season. We completely fell off. And the one that comes to mind as well is it's not a manager, so maybe the effect wouldn't have been as big. But do you remember when Vincent Kompany left? We didn't know until after the FA Cup final that he was going. Like, it took us a while to find out.
It was the Leicester game. He told us just before the Leicester game.
And by that point, there was like 2 games to go, FA Cup final and, last game in the Premier League. Like, I don't know, maybe it has killed him off. Maybe it has killed him off. I thought it would give him a siege mentality because Klopp is such a legend at Liverpool. You would think that they would be doing, they'd give that extra 10% to send him out on a trophy. But maybe it has killed them off. Maybe, like you say, maybe it's made a few players, question their own future.
I don't know about killed them off because, it's too soon.
It's killed momentum a little bit, hasn't it? It's almost like a shock to the system where they're a bit like, well, yeah, it's all nice and, let's send Kloppy out on a high, but, what happens next season? Like, who's going to be my boss? Or who's going to be in charge?
It's exactly what Brax here. Big up Brax, channel member, by the way. I haven't seen you in the chat since you became a member, so thank you for becoming a member of the channel, Brax. It's a certain distraction. That's exactly what it is. It's a distraction that they didn't need. They were on a good path. They were on a good trajectory. They were really cementing themselves as proper title challengers. And then Klopp says, I'm leaving. I'm too tired, so I'm leaving at the end of the season. Fair enough. You're tired. You want to leave. That's totally up to you. No one's gonna be, be angry at you for that. But pick your moments, mate. Pick your moments. My initial feeling was it'll work for them. They're probably the only club that it could work for. But now I know it might be reactionary after one loss, but it was the performance. It's the nature of the performance they put in an Arsenal. It was kind of like, are certain players are their minds not 100% where it should be? I don't know. Briggsy, he should have announced his departure once the league is in lockdown, not with 16 games left. I'm inclined to agree, Briggsy. Off the top of my mind, has any manager that's announced his departure midway through the season, has it ever led to anything good? Has it ever led to a triumph at the end? I'm asking that genuinely because I don't know the answer. Maybe someone in the chat will be able to tell me a situation whereby a manager announced he was leaving in January or before and they went on to have a great season. I think it just adds a massive amount of uncertainty around the club, the future of the club, and conversations that don't need to be had start happening. Who's the next manager? Who's the best fit to come in after Klopp? Who can carry on Liverpool and keep all the best players? Are the best players going to stay? Oh, this player's linked with a move away. This player said this. These are all conversations and distractions that you don't want to be having when you're focused on a title race. Pep's a master of this. Pep's done this so many times over the years where he won't want to talk about certain things and he'll wait for certain times to announce certain things because he doesn't want any distractions. We've made mistakes with distractions before over the years. Do you remember the year we won the Porto Champions League final? We won the league a couple of weeks before and the players went out on a massive piss up, almost celebrated the season as if it was done, and then there was this feeling that we hadn't prepared for the Porto Champions League final correctly. There's such fine margins involved in winning a Premier League or a Champions League that I just don't... Is this overstepping the margin? Was Klopp announcing his exit when he did overstepping and pushing the boundaries too far? And why? I just don't know. But look, they've dropped points. They dropped 3 points, which meant... I'm going to have a look at the Premier League table here now. We had a chance to go to Burnley or Brentford the next day and capitalise. Yeah, so as it stands, we're 3 points behind them with a game in hand. We are in a very, very strong position. All green ticks for our last 5. We've won our last 5 league games in a row, which is great to see. It feels like a long time ago now, or it's not that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago now since we only won 1 game in 6. 2 points behind what? Is it?
It's
49,
49 to 51. 2 points. 3 points to go above them on points.
Sorry, that's it. Yeah, 2 points. Yeah. So it's all in our hands. It's all in our hands. So we went to Brentford, and I was nervous for that game. I was genuinely nervous, like, just because of the circumstances, like wanting to capitalize on Liverpool, going to Brentford, who are in the last 12 to 18 months a tricky team for us. Did the double over us last season, the only team to do a double over us in our treble winning season, and they scored their first goal, and I was like, rah, this is typical City. This is typical City. If we had a loss last night, I wouldn't have been coming on here or on City Extra or doing my review, whatever, and saying the league's over, we fucked it. But like, we all knew it was a chance to capitalize, and we did in the end. 40 in the building. Make sure you smash the like button, by the way, people. Get the likes up. We're on 30 likes. We hit our goal of 50 pretty soon. But yeah, Brentford, Michael Davey, think you're going overboard about this. Every club has a bad performance in them. We have had 2 Wolves and Aston Villa. I'm not trying to go overboard about it. I'm trying to just think of what contributed to it. Why did Liverpool turn up that way? Because it was totally out of flow for the way they were going at the time. But look, we'll park Liverpool there for the minute because I don't want to spend too much time talking about Liverpool. But the title race has taken another twist, as the title says. And we went to Brentford and did our job. Didn't we, Joe?
I mean, just about. I say just about because the stats will tell you different.
We dominated.
I know the stats will tell you we dominated, but that first half was an awful watch from a City point of view. That was typical. 1-0 down. I think it is a recurring theme. I saw one of the journos tweet out saying that we've gone behind 1-0 down away from home like 4 times, 5 times in a row, something like that. It's becoming a habit. It's not a good habit to get into. Neither conceding goals, not keeping clean sheets. But I mean, in terms of the second half, yeah, it was much better. Brentford barely laid a glove on us in that second half. I think they had about 5-10 minute spell when it was, I want to say 3-1 when we did score our third. They might have had like a flurry where they came out and tried to play a little bit, but like it was fairly comfortable. But my word, that first half was a tough watch. And you like my tweet about it. How many corners did we absolutely? They were disgraceful in that first half. How many corners did we have where my head was in my hands? By corner number 6, I think every single time I was like, just give him a goal kick. Just give Brentford a goal kick at this point. I'm not asked. Like, I don't want a corner.
Yeah, but that's kind of a token of Pep Guardiola's tenure at Manchester City. Like, look, we're an amazing team. We've been an amazing team. But if there's one flaw in this team that has been ever present throughout all the transitions and on all the evolutions of Pep Guardiola's team, we are dead at corner kicks. Like dead at corner kicks. So it's kind of like, it is what it is.
We had that one year, didn't we, where we scored loads. I think it was 21-22, I want to say. Where we ended up like one of the best teams from set pieces in the Premier League. We scored loads, and then that was the one outlier. Apart from that, our corners have been shit for so long. Like, a lot of people used to shout when we used to take them short. I'm kind of all for taking them short because there's not really like anywhere where you can go wrong if you just pass it 5 yards. It's when you try and whip it into the box and it doesn't get past the first or second man where you kind of you're tearing your hair out in frustration. You're asking for something different, but it was relatively comfortable apart from that first half, which was just kind of typical. I mean, the goal itself was absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't know what's going on there with the defending. Again, it's becoming a theme, going 1-0 down, not keeping clean sheets, defending poorly, which is, if you go back to last season, it's uncharacteristic. Because you go back to last season, our defence was amazing. Like, it was the best part of our team last season. And then you go to now, and it's like, what has happened? We've signed an £80 million defender, and we've got a little bit worse defensively, or it seems it anyway. So that's like the one main area of concern, but it's not just like a Brentford specific thing. That's like a whole season specific thing. It's been, I mean, how many clean sheets have we kept this year? How many times have we thrown away a clean sheet in the 90th minute for no reason other than funny? Like, that's one area where we're going to need to improve, especially, I mean, we've got this good run of fixtures, these winnable games. So it's not too much of an issue now. But when you get to that March period where you've got all them big games coming up, your Anfield, playing Arsenal again, the Derby, you're going to need to shore up that defence because you can't start every game with a handicap 1-0 down in those sorts of games. It can't happen.
I mean, Briggs says that goal kick was very, very soft, could be easily avoidable. That's a clean sheet wasted. Yeah, I mean, in terms of clean sheets and goals conceded, the stats don't read very well in comparison to what we were used to, particularly in regards to last season when the defense was so solid. But I didn't think defensively we were bad last night. I mean, the goal was Rodri was kind of asleep. Some of the defenders were kind of asleep, and Ake got held off by Ivan Toney. Whatever. Ivan Toney did very well for that. But I think for the most part, we weren't under any very much defensive pressure. I didn't think we had much to do. That was Gvardiol's fault. What do you make of Gvardiol? I've seen a lot of people talking about Gvardiol on Twitter saying he's not good, and I don't mean City fans. I mean people in general trying to call Gvardiol a flop. He was playing like a winger last night for the most part, wasn't he? Like really, really high up the pitch. He had a few shots on goal. Unfortunately for him, none of them really went in. But what do you make of him, and what does the chat make of him?
I thought he was all right last night, personally. I thought he was one of our better players. I thought he was one of our better players. Like before we did eventually score, he was probably one of the closer players to scoring, which is wild considering he's a centre half playing at left back. And I also think it's crazy that he's playing as a left winger. I don't know whether that is something that we're going to keep seeing when there's no John Stones in the team, when we don't have that player stepping into midfield, whether it's something that Pep's going to try pushing both fullbacks high, in which case I'd imagine Pep sees Gvardiol as a better option as a higher, more attacking left back than Nathan Ake, because he's a bit quicker, he's better on the ball, that's what he's good at. Maybe he sees something in that, I don't know, because in terms of me personally, I do want to see him play in the position that I thought we were buying him for, which is as a centre-back, not as a flying left wing-back, but it is what it is. Like, I also think I said it on my review, a lot of the times when you look at, and it links into Phil Foden, a lot of times when you look at Phil Foden's City career, he's never been able to nail down an exact position, because he's always the one accommodating other players, if you get what I mean. Like, he'll be stick on the left to get Bernardo Silva on the right, which lets Gundogan and De Bruyne play in midfield. Like, it'd be something along the lines of that, where he'd be moved around position to position. He'd never, nailed down a set position, because he'd be used. His versatility would be used to, get other players into the team. And it was almost the other way around last night, where we had Gvardiol playing as a high flying left back, so that Foden could leave the left hand side of the pitch and go wherever he wanted, which is a refreshing thing to see, because like I said, it's normally the other way around. So I don't know whether that is something that we will continue to... I'd imagine it's something we'll continue to see, because it's not the first time we've seen Gvardiol play as a left back. A left wing back. I remember Crystal Palace at home, me and you both had that game. There were times where Gvardiol was on the last line of Palace's defence on the left wing, and Grealish was playing at left back. Like, there were times when that was happening, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a thing, because you see it on the other side with Walker getting really high and wide on the right-hand side of the pitch. Maybe it's something that we're going to deploy against teams who sit back in a 5. I don't rightly know, but, I mean, it seems to be working. Like, he's had a good season. Like, overall, he's had a good season, hasn't he? Like, he's not been bad. He's had a few mistakes here and there, but that comes with him being young. It's his first season in the Premier League. It's his first season under Pep. It was going to happen.
He's not really had any howlers. He was bad against Chelsea away, I think. Remember the 4-4? He was quite bad that day. But he's not had any like real howlers where you go, "Oh, what the hell?" That's a bit of a stinker. And you have to really apply context to Gvardiol's transition from Leipzig to Manchester City. New position. Forget new club, new league, new everything, which are all massive things. New position is huge under a very demanding manager who's very specific in what he wants from his wing backs, which is essentially what Gvardiol's doing. Gvardiol is playing a similar role to what Cancelo did when Cancelo was playing a left back for us, which is a really complex role and very new for Josko Gvardiol, he's known for being an out and out defender. Like I would have compared Josko Gvardiol's style of play at Leipzig to of what we're used to with Ruben Diaz. Body on the line, kind of a general in defense, and an aggressive, real defender, traditional defender with a lot of ability. And now he's been told he's playing a role where you've got to be very technically cute, you've got to get forward, you've got to be involved in link-up play. He's getting into central areas where he's getting off shots, and he's got to work on his final ball as well with crossing, because that's now a massive part of what has to be a massive part of his game. So you have to just sit with Gvardiol. I'm a massive fan of Josko Gvardiol. I really, really like him. But look, the goal we conceded last night, it is what it is. I mean, I would have preferred a clean sheet, but it is what it is. We can't. We have Phil Foden to thank for the fact that we won the game, and we're going to talk about Phil Foden. I really want to talk about him a lot because I think the guy's on fire. I'm no longer going to call him the kid. He's no star boy anymore. He's star man. Shout out David Bowie again. Star man, Phil Foden. But before we do, there's 50 people in the building and we're on 37 likes. The goal is always 50 likes on these streams. We can hit that very quickly if all of you guys hit the like button. I get excited when we get close to the goal because I like to hit the goal. Do you know what I mean? I'm that kind of guy. But yeah, hit the like button, subscribe if you're now in here, and the link to become a channel member if you want is going to be in the chat now. You help support the channel. Right, Philip Walter Foden. Hello, Alex. Hello, Terrell. Hello, Pele. Everybody who's just joining us now. You've come at a good time. Top of the league. Welcome. You've come at a good time because we're about to talk about Star Man. Shout out David Bowie. There's a Star Man waiting in the wing. Midfield now. Phil Foden. What am I talking about? What am I actually talking about right now? What am I doing? Phil Foden, Joe, absolutely unbelievable. Hat-trick hero last night. In my opinion, he's the best player in the league right now on form. I think he's consistently been really good for 2-3 months, and he's gone slightly under the radar. I think Manchester City have gone slightly under the radar, and that might be linked to the Klopp exit, all the attention's on them, a lot of attention on United and Chelsea and so on and so forth, and get a lot of attention at Tottenham. There's not that much focus or emphasis on Manchester City, but if you do look at Manchester City, you know Phil Foden has been unbelievable, and he's taken on this really complex new role this season that at the start of the season we were a bit kind of like, not sure. But now he's flourishing. He really owns the middle of the park for Manchester City. Like, he's a dominant figure in the middle of the park, which is what we all always wanted to see from Phil Foden. You know, he's the next David Silva, he's the next this, he's the next that. No, mate, he's Phil Foden, and he's absolutely smashing it. And more power to him, man. What did you think of him last night?
I mean, what's there left to say? We were all crying out for him to play in midfield this season. We thought that maybe with the hole that we've got in the middle of the park with Kevin De Bruyne being out at the start, maybe we'll get to see him there. Maybe he'll get a run of games finally. And he has. And he's been our best player. Like, since... I go back to Palace again. Since Palace, maybe Palace is the turning point here because... You know, it was his mistake for the penalty and he didn't really have a great game. And, you know, Pep kind of digged him out a little bit in his press conference saying, you know, it was a bad error to give away the penalty, but he knows it. Ever since then, we went on the Club World Cup. We won that. He came back, still played in that midfield role. He's been unbelievable. He's been our best player since then. And like I was saying before, more than anything, I like how Pep has not, you know, as soon as we've got fitness back to players, Pep hasn't, you know, moved him back out wide. Or, you know, into a different role again. Because that's the last thing I like to see. Was Phil Foden nailed down a position. He nailed down a role in the team. Finally, we've been crying out for it going, he's a little bit inconsistent because he's playing here, there and everywhere. He's finally nailed down a position. It's refreshing to see that he hasn't moved him out of there. And he's continued playing well. And he warrants a selection. He warrants, you know, other players maybe having to change roles to fit him in the team. He warrants that now. Like, he is probably one of our most important players right now. He took us through that run, you know, towards the end of December, winning games, scoring goals. It's not scoring as well, it's creating. I feel like he's learned a lot, from that Palace game. I feel like he's learned a lot of how to be a midfielder. Pep, I think he said in one of his press conferences that, you know, a lot of the time Foden was all about energy and trying to make things happen all the time, and he needed to understand that being a midfield player, sometimes you do need to slow it down. Sometimes you do need to play one touch and, you know, simple layoffs and this and that, you know, midfield duties, and he's learned how to do that. And I still think that there are levels to go. He still hasn't really played in this free role with a Kevin De Bruyne yet. You know, it's still early days in that relationship. Haaland's just back. How will that dynamic work? Does he stick with Alvarez playing in the midfield position as well? How does that work? Who's going to play on the wings? You know, we will end up talking about Jack Grealish, but, you know, what does the dynamic look like? There's a lot of learning and relationships to go yet before we really see sort of the end product. He's kind of been playing, you know, he's formed a relationship with Alvarez up front while Alvarez has been there, while Haaland's been out injured. But again, like I said, Haaland's back, De Bruyne's back. How will this, you know, relationship go? Because you'd imagine that if he's going to continue a free role, will that override with Kevin De Bruyne, because we know that that's something he liked to do, which is pick up pockets of space, find a pass. I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, it worked well yesterday. He's got a hat trick. Like, he's got a hat trick, and De Bruyne assisted one of them. Like, it works, but it can get better.
I think moving forward, the midfield has to be just Rodri, De Bruyne, Foden. I don't really want to see much chopping and changing in regards to the starting midfield. I don't want to see Alvarez in there. I really, really, really don't want to see Alvarez in there. He had a great start to the season, and for me, he's just not technically there yet to be a midfielder. Filled in massively, brilliantly at a time where we needed him to. We needed him to step up and deliver probably more than he was expected of in a midfield role, and he did. But he's not anywhere near technically good enough, like in comparison to Phil Foden or Kevin De Bruyne, to be filling in midfield. I want to see a midfield trio form chemistry week in, week out, become the dominant midfield, become a well-known midfield of Rodri, De Bruyne and Foden. I just thought last night they complemented each other so well. The dynamic they have going on works so well. Both of them, neither of them are the kind of players that you can restrict to just, you need to be in this zone of the pitch, or you need to be, hovering around here all the time. Both of them have such high footballing IQs and the technical ability to match it that they can both free roam. They cross over each other. One will be on the left for a minute, one will be on the right. You might see Foden at the wing. He'll sitting behind Haaland. I saw Foden sitting beside Rodri at times last night, almost in like a pivot sort of thing, box to box. He looked like Gundogan at times. Phil Foden is the complete package when it comes to being a footballer. He is the complete package. It's just about allowing him to continue developing on all of these attributes, because we've seen it, and we've seen it consistently, that he has all these attributes. We just need to allow Foden to keep going. Why stop something? Why slow something down that's clearly growing and developing so well? The start of the season, like, you look at Foden's progress from the beginning of the season to now. The beginning of the season, he was getting time in midfield, and we're all going, right, this is interesting. Let's see how Phil Foden does in the midfield. Bit unsure at times. He wasn't, like, you have to remember, this was at the time, accurately, he wasn't stamping his authority in games, he wasn't controlling games, but he was still new to being a midfielder for Manchester City, a central role. He's stuck with it, he's grown with it, he's gotten better and better and better. You can see his confidence is flowing. You can see he's enjoying playing with the players he has around him, and he's enjoying the responsibility on his shoulders. You can tell Foden is enjoying the responsibility. Why? Look at the positions he picked up last night for his goals. They're not midfielders' positions. That's instinct. That's footballing IQ right there. Particularly the goal that he got the assist from De Bruyne for. Fantastic, unbelievable assist. Only Kevin De Bruyne could do that. But for Phil Foden to be in that position as a 10 or an 8 or whatever you want to call him, a free roller, that's not normal. That's instinct. That's called, I see an opportunity here. I'm going to step out of my position to go and seize this opportunity. And that's exactly what he did. That's a sign of a player who's playing with serious confidence right now. And look, pending everybody stays fit, pending everybody keeps going the way it is right now, that's a scary three forming, Joe. Like, look at De Bruyne as well last night. I still maintain, and I don't think it's a wild shout, that De Bruyne is still rusty. De Bruyne is still rusty. Like, he was out for 5-6 months, and he's putting in performances like he did last night, like the ones against Newcastle, and he's getting the GNA already. But even if you just look at the way he's moving about the pitch, he's everywhere. De Bruyne is everywhere. He looks like he has more of an engine than he did before he was injured, which is the obvious indicator that the guy's revitalized. The guy's feeling refreshed. The guy's feeling good about himself. He's got a new lease of life, a new level of hunger. You complement that Kevin De Bruyne right now with that new revitalization, with an up-and-coming, oozing confidence Phil Foden, and then the big man Rodri behind them. Whew, damn. I want to know what you think, man.
Well, I still... I'm trying to find the right words to describe this. I'm still not too hopeful, maybe, when it comes to the bigger games, that he'll stick with that. I'm not sure he trusts De Bruyne to do defensive duties, given his age and everything like that, in terms of he'll want him higher up the pitch. He'll want Kevin De Bruyne higher up the pitch to affect the game in the final third. And I don't think he trusts Foden just yet to do defensive duties either. Because again, he's a player who wants to be further forward. So in these bigger games, will he use that midfield three? I'm inclined to say no, based on previous history and based on just a gut feeling that he won't do that. And more than likely, you'll see Foden on the wing. Now, whether we do a high and wide fullback and Foden does come inside and, mess about like he did yesterday and, be everywhere on the pitch, maybe he'll do it that way instead. But as a midfield three, I don't think if we go to Anfield, I don't think he does that midfield three with two wingers. I don't see it. I genuinely, I think he plays someone else next to Rodri. Maybe it's a little bit more defensive, but I think he'll view it as, you can't go gung-ho against Liverpool. Because it's professional suicide to go gung-ho against Liverpool. Because they will hurt you on the counter-attack. So will he do it in the bigger games? I'm hopeful. Because I do want to see it, and the only way that someone like Foden is going to learn how to play in maybe a deeper position is to play in that deeper position, to learn the defensive side of the ball. He's going to have to learn it to be able to do it. And again, like I said, I don't think it's a De Bruyne learning how to do it, because he played in that deeper position yesterday. He wasn't deeper at all. But in the pivot on paper, Kevin De Bruyne was next to Rodri, because Alvarez was ahead of them. But I don't think in a game like Anfield, Pep will want De Bruyne starting off deeper. I think he'll want him much further up the pitch to affect the game. So again, for those bigger games, maybe not. But we've got a while until we got those bigger games. You look at the run that we've got. I think we've got Everton next at the weekend. Do it again. Same thing.
Just want to say, Joe, it's that time of the show again. We have to stop for a round of applause. Because we've hit our goal of 50 likes. We always have to give a round of applause to the chat when we hit our goal of 50 likes on the stream. So shout out every single one of you for hitting the like button. We've got over 60 in the building. Make sure you have hit the like button. You guys are always smashing the goals on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to be a channel member, a part of the HMTV army, Joe's going to put a link in the chat now. Click that link. It's $3.99 a month, and you're just help supporting the boys. You're help supporting the boys. So, big up everybody. Smashing the goals, man. What a community we have here. We're close to 7K as well, section. So, listen, like I said in the last show, appreciate you all, man. We've got a great little community here. Love coming on late at night for these late night chats. Look, Phil Foden, massively gassed with him. I'm so excited. I spoke very highly of him on the Big Six last night, and nobody really disagreed with me. The thing, look, you're English, Joe. I saw Briggsy in the chat talking about it. Where is it, Briggsy? Phil is magic. Sadly, my country has wasted for England. If he gets free roam at England, he'd be mega, but sadly we won't see last night Phil for England. Is there a way where Phil Foden can work his way into being this kind of player for England, or is Southgate just totally incapable? I don't want to go on too long about this, but I'm curious just from an English perspective.
Southgate is 100% incapable of doing this, by the way. I can tell you now for a fact. He was over in Amsterdam watching Ajax because Jordan Henderson was making his debut. That's not normal. That's not normal behaviour for an England manager. I saw someone on Twitter say, I can't remember who it was. I always see things on Twitter and I can't remember who it was because I go on Twitter a lot and I never remember who it's by. But he posed a question, and it was a good question. How many times has he been to Serie A to watch Tomori play for AC Milan in the 2-3 years that he's been there? Can you name me a time? Probably not. John Henderson is making his debut in Ajax, and he's on there. He's in the stadium watching him make his debut. I don't get. He has this. I don't want to go. I'm gonna lose my mind because I totally forgotten about international football. Now you reminded me. It makes me upset. Everybody has now seen Phil Foden in the middle of the park. The excuse that Gareth Southgate gave for not playing him in midfield and playing him exclusively as a winger, which is basically him playing on the bench because he likes Saka on the right. And he doesn't, he sees Foden playing on the right for City, and he's like, oh, I've got to play like Rashford or something off the left. Anyway, the reason why he said he wouldn't play him in midfield is because he doesn't play there for his club. What's his excuse going to be this time? He's been one of the players of the season playing in midfield, and I can guarantee you now, almost guarantee you now, if he plays, there will be someone in an attacking position that misses out. He won't play Saka, Foden, and Bellingham plus another winger. He won't do it. He will not do it. He won't play Bellingham deeper, play Foden out wide. And that's how it'll be. It'll be Rice and Henderson or Rice and Phillips. Because that's just how he operates. He loves a double pivot, which I don't know whether it's an international... I don't know whether it's an international football thing, because you see it quite a lot. Teams go defensive, but like the amount of talent you have and the players that are playing well, like it's a shame that you don't get to see these players play together. Because could you imagine a Rice, Bellingham, Foden midfield, Saka one side, you pick the left-hand side options, Kane up front. How many goals you'd score. How good the football would be. It'd be unbelievable. But no, you got to stick with Jordan Henderson.
Mate, Henderson and Phillips have no place on the pitch for England. Like, let's be real. They did, like, I respect, shout out Calvin and that, yeah. But and Henderson, whatever, at Ajax smoking all the grass and that. But they have no place with the amount of attacking talent in this England squad. Brax, Subhan there, Bellingham, Rice, Foden, Brax, Rice, Foden, Bellingham. Can you imagine that midfield? Like, whatever about Saka on the right and Kane up front as well. Just we're talking midfield alone. Bellingham, Rice, Foden would be outrageous. The best midfield in world football at international level. What midfield is on paper better than that? I don't know. But you English lot, you have to deal with Southgate, who likes to spend his weekends now in Amsterdam watching Jordan Henderson, which is. Yeah, that's mind-blowing to me. But speaking of English talents, what's up with Jack Grealish? What is up with Jack Grealish? The word on the street from Jack Grealish was that when the team was announced to play Brentford at the last training session before the Brentford game, obviously Grealish wasn't listed as a starter. He wasn't happy with this and apparently left training early, which would insinuate he stormed off. That's essentially what that is. If he's leaving early, he stormed off. Obviously then didn't start, but he was a part of the squad for the Brentford game, didn't come on. How do we view this one? Because look, do I think there's truth to it? I don't know about truth in the sense that he stormed off from training, but I do believe there's truth to him maybe speaking to Pep and saying he's frustrated. Because when you think about it, Grealish, yeah, he had his injury and this and that, but his recent form when he's been on the pitch has been actually excellent. Remember, he got 3-3 not so long ago, and he's been generally very good when called upon. And now he's not played in a number of games. How do you look at this one, Joe? It's a tricky one.
I don't know. I imagine you'd agree. I don't know why we haven't seen him, because like you said, that period of where we were struggling in games. He did really well, and he dug us out of holes. He really did. He scored against Luton. That won us a game. You know, he did really, really well. And then all of a sudden, I'm just looking on Transfermarkt here. Here we go. He came off just after half-time against Sheffield United. That's one. Didn't even get on the pitch against Newcastle. Came on with 15, 20 minutes to go against Burnley. Didn't get on the pitch against Brentford. Didn't get on the pitch against Tottenham in the Cup either. It's not looking good, is it? Like, what else was in there? Oh, yeah, there was also Huddersfield.
What Nathan says here is probably applicable. If it was true that he stormed off from training, he surely would have been left in Manchester last night. He wouldn't have been allowed to travel with the squad, would he? Pep wouldn't tolerate that. Remember the Cancelo thing?
No, he wouldn't. If he would have stormed off, he would have left him at home. So maybe that side isn't true. Well, there is an element of truth to it. I wouldn't be happy either, because like I said, that is in the last 6 games, he's not appeared in 3 of them, and he has not completed a full 90 in any of them. He's even been taken off after not even an hour, or brought on with sort of 15 minutes left in the one game against Burnley. So I understand where he's coming from. He hit a good patch of form. He hit goal-scoring form, and then all of a sudden he's not playing 3 out of 6. He's sort of in and out of the team. In the games that he's starting, he's first one to be taken off. In the only sub-appearance he's got, the game was over and he was coming on for 15 minutes just at the end. And I don't really understand where this is coming from. Doku's been injured, so it's not like we've had a plethora of options on the left. And even then, Doku hasn't set the world alight, has he? His form hasn't been great since he got injured. Like, let's less than lie here and say Doku's torn the world apart. He hasn't. Since he's come back from injury, he's not been very good. Which, again, it's nothing on his part. He's a young player. Attackers, especially under Pep Guardiola in their first season, don't do well. Mahrez didn't do well. Grealish didn't do well. Like, it just happens. Like, that's just something that happens. We all know that. And he's a young player as well, so he'll learn. But let's not sit here and go, Doku should be playing more or just as much, because his form hasn't been good. Grealish's form has been good, but I don't know whether there's been a falling out or whether it's tactical. I can't imagine it's tactical, personally. I don't see it, because there's no reason why he can't play, that role that Phil Foden had last night, where he was allowed to drift in from the left. No reason why Grealish can't do that. And you take Alvarez out and play Foden instead. There's no reason why that can't happen. Like, I don't get it. Maybe it's... I don't understand where this has come from. I'm not surprised that there may have been a small kicking off and he's a bit unhappy. I'd hope he'd not stormed off and he had taken it to the manager, because I'm sure Pep would appreciate it if he came to him actually and said, look, why am I not playing? What do I have to do to get a game? He probably appreciates that, because that's a sign of someone who, wants to play football. He's willing to do things to get into the team, but I don't know, he's sticky. Like, I don't get why it's happened. I really don't. I don't see why he's not playing.
I just don't believe that he stormed off. I don't believe that he left training over a team announcement. Because, like I said, I don't think he'd have been brought to London if that was the case. I mean, top of the league says more the worry is we're not playing fantastic and he's not getting minutes. As a fan, it seems unfair. It does seem unfair, but I think there's a few things contributing to it. One is Pep is absolutely obsessed with Julian Alvarez. Do I have an issue with that? Not particularly. I like Alvarez, and if Pep decides he wants Alvarez in the pitch, Pep decides he wants Alvarez in the pitch. So that kind of takes up one of the potential sort of spots that Grealish could slot into, or at least part of the jigsaw that you could piece Grealish into. Pep loves Alvarez, and then there's. You said you don't think it's tactical. I think it might be strategic. There's often things happen over the seasons with Pep Guardiola where you're kind of thinking at the time, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? Then come the end of the season, it makes sense. We know the run of fixtures we have coming up. I said this in City Extra earlier on, and I still stand by it. We know the run of fixtures we have coming up in March, April, and May. March, April, and May, particularly March and April, are very, very tough months fixture-wise. Big teams. Arsenal, Liverpool, Brighton, Villa, Spurs away. We got United at home. Games where we probably won't be afforded the license to, have a Doku running down the wing and maybe losing possession a couple times, and it gets turned over and we're hitting the counter because we'd be punished in these kind of games. Is Pep saving Grealish for sort of these moments? I'll be really surprised if Jack Grealish isn't starting in Anfield. Like, genuinely really surprised, because of the nature of the way the Anfield games go, the nature of the way we play at Anfield and the way Liverpool play at Anfield. Grealish is the antidote, in my opinion, to stopping Liverpool's counter-attacks and stopping their press, because he's very press resistant, Jack Grealish. He won't give away the ball easily. Is he saving Grealish for this period? Like, he did it with Ruben Diaz last season. You remember the start of the season? I know Diaz had his injuries, but even when he was fit, he wasn't playing every week. And then boom, mid to late February, early March, Diaz, he's in every week and he's looking good to go. I don't know what you think about that. It's just me coming up with ideas. I hope it's not the case that they've had a falling out or a disagreement, because he should know better than that, Jack Grealish, playing under Pep Guardiola.
Maybe. I can see a world in which that point is true, and it's sort of this strategic look at the fixtures we have coming up. I'll give you minutes every now and then so you keep match fitness and match sharpness, but you won't be playing full 90s. And maybe that's something that, after Grealish has had a poor reaction to it, maybe that's something that he's had to explain to him. Possibly.
Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that Jack Grealish could be, literally for the whole of last season, he was one of the first names in the team sheet. He was, and he was excellent. Week in, week out, Jack Grealish, one of the first names in the team sheet. And then we move into this season, and all of a sudden he's just totally out of favour.
No, it wouldn't happen. Him and Grealish and Pep, their relationship is too good to just fall apart over not playing a few games. It's not the amount of times that Pep has defended Grealish in press conferences and said it doesn't matter if he doesn't score the whole season, it doesn't matter, he's still an important player. Like, their relationship, I feel, is too good for him to storm off in training for not being picked to start a game of football, especially in early February. Like, he knows the most important part of the season is right around the corner. Or I hope that Grealish knows the most important part of the season is right around the corner. Why is your mouth open?
We're speaking about Jack Grealish. I'm just reading through City Extra. He may not be getting picked, but he's a very rich man. A very, very rich man. He's just signed a 7-figure deal with Pepsi. 7-fucking-figure deal. Man like Jackie G and A, Gucci Grealish. 7 figures. Raw. That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Shit, man. Yeah, he don't care if he's not playing. Man's got cash. He's doing all right, man. He's doing all right. Sorry, Joe. Go on. What are you saying?
Nah, I'd hope to God that Grealish knows that the most important part of the season is right around the corner, because we know it and Pep knows it clearly, because, I mean, we keep going on about these winnable run of games. We know what's ahead. I'm hoping that Grealish realises he knows what's ahead and realises that there's a whole lot of football still left to be played. Injuries can happen. He might still get in the team, in and around this time period. And then when it kicks off and you got these big games, maybe he gets in the team more because he's trusted in the big games. So I wouldn't worry too much. I would, however, worry if he doesn't get any minutes. Like if he continues making cameos here where he starts, he plays an hour, he comes off, and maybe he doesn't start the next game, he comes on for half an hour. Like I'm fine with that for the time being, because he needs to keep up sharpness and fitness. He needs to still have that, because we don't want to be going into these big games, like you said, Anfield away. I don't imagine a world in which if he's fit, he doesn't start. Like he doesn't start Doku ahead of Grealish at Anfield. He doesn't do that unless he wants to fuck with all of us and potentially throw the game. Because that is genuinely what might happen if you have someone with a high turnover rate at Anfield. But I don't see a world in which this is going to be a big issue. However, like I was just saying, if he doesn't get any minutes, or he gets very limited minutes where he's only playing sort of half an hour here and there, then I'd be slightly worried, because then I'd be like, it feels almost like under-preparing. And it does feel like there has been something that's gone on. Like, only time will tell on what has actually happened here. Like, we'll never know for certain what's happened. But if there has been a falling out, you won't see him. You will not see him play very much. But if there's not been a falling out and it's been blown out of proportion and it's just media tactics trying to make everyone panic, then he'll probably start the next game.
Yeah, I'd love to see him start against Everton. Just to fucking start a game, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we had 70 people in the building there a second ago, and we're one like off 60. So make sure you hit the like button as always, people. All of your support massively helps. Subscribe if you're new around here, and if you want to become a channel member, join the HMTV army like BREMCI there in the chat. Get a nice badge beside your name. Click the link and support the boys. But yeah, hit the like button. I've just signed with Strike Cola for £7. Pepsi, yeah, I know. Pepsi Grealish appearing on cans and bottles coming to a store near you soon. I'll have to get my hands on one of them. I'd say that's in the pipeline. That's going to be something that they'll do. But yeah, he can't have just gone from being one of Pep's main players to being a Calvin Phillips type player, really barely getting any minutes at all and just totally out of favour. And it would be totally out of character for Grealish. And it would go against everything he said about Pep Guardiola and his time at Man City to storm off from training like that. The way Grealish speaks about Pep and how much he admires him and has tried to learn and understand him, it wouldn't make sense for Grealish to start being all egotistical and walking in a training. It just doesn't make sense. So I hope he starts against Everton. I want to see him start against Everton. Like I've always said, I love when Grealish, Haaland and Foden are all on the pitch together. Now it won't be a front three anymore, more than likely, because Foden is smashing it in midfield. But I like when they're all on the pitch together. I think they work well together as a trio. Alex, how come no reporters asked Pep this Jack news? Maybe it's fake news and never happened. That's also a possibility. That's also a genuine possibility that this just never happened and we're reading into it too much. I really believe my thought process is a high probability. There's high probability that he is being somewhat held back for the business end of the season, for Anfield and these kind of fixtures. Leon, hope it's not another Pepsi. Where is my jet promotion? That is phenomenal dosh by anyone's standards. Yeah, he's a very rich man now, Joe. He's a very rich man. 7 figures.
I don't think he cares about his playing time. Yeah. No, it's the most likely outcome, I think, for me personally, is your point of he's being saved, because he doesn't very often get injured, or he never had a really bad reputation with injuries. But this season he struggled a bit, didn't he? Start of the season he got a couple that kept him out for a little bit. So I think it's more precautionary, because for a man who's never struggled with injuries, he had a couple of minor injuries that turned out for him missing more than I think people maybe planned on him missing. Like he had a dead leg and a big bruise, and it kept him out for a few weeks, like probably a few weeks longer than anyone was really thinking. So it's probably the most probable outcome is that he's just being saved, because it's not like we're desperately missing him. We're not desperately missing him, but we will do if we go into those big away games without him. I can tell you that for a fact.
Yeah, I'm just getting up the fixtures here because I want to see what we kind of have left before we go into that big month in March. I've told you guys a million times, March is crazy, but we have Everton at home, Copenhagen away, Chelsea at home, Brentford at home, and Bournemouth away, and then Luton away in the Cup. You'd like to think he's going to start a few of these, and that kind of relates to top of the league. Do you not think we'll be getting some rotation out to make sure the whole squad gets minutes? I'd like to think so, top of the league. I'd really like to think that we're going to see some rotation. I don't just mean like crazy rotation, like start taking players out for no reason, like taking Foden out. I want to see Foden continue. I want to see De Bruyne continue. Haaland definitely needs to get sharper. But start giving Grealish minutes. Give Grealish a start here and there. Are you in Copenhagen? Are you going to Copenhagen at home? I don't think so. I'm going to Manchester Derby. I'm going to Liverpool away, I think. Arsenal at home. I'm going to loads of games, so if you see me, do look out. This new system of our wingers playing inside as 10s will suit Jack very well. Can't wait for his second half of the season. I'm kind of expecting a big second half of the season from Grealish, Joe. That's essentially where I'm at.
That's what I said. I said there's no reason why Grealish couldn't have done that Foden role that he did last night, and he just takes Alvarez out. There's no reason you can't have that happen. None whatsoever. In fact, he'd probably play better doing that than a natural wide player, in my opinion, because he's naturally creative. He's not quick like a winger, so he's not going to beat his man on the outside. We all know that. Christ, how many times you see on Twitter that Grealish won't take his man on? Right, well, let him drift inside then and pick out a pass. Let him do that.
Yep, I agree. I want to talk a bit about Haaland. Obviously, he's returned last night. Before I give you my thoughts, actually, what did you think of Haaland last night?
He barely touched the ball, to be honest. I'm going to be honest. He barely touched the ball. Like, it's not for a lack of wanting to pick him out. It's just Brentford had a back five. It was always going to be difficult for him to get a touch on the ball. He got his assist at the end of the day. Like, he left with something. We left here with something. Like, we got something in the end, but I could do with a goal, mate, to be honest, because, yeah, we kind of need you to hit form again, big man, because, I mean, it's hard, because Pep obviously still wants to keep Alvarez.
Joe, is he unsettled?
Is he fuck? Is he fuck? We're not having this conversation again. Is he unsettled? No, he picked up a scarf from the away end and threw it over Foden. Is he unsettled? Give it a rest. No, it's like I'm not worried. Like he didn't play well, but he didn't play bad. I don't think he really touched the ball too many times, but he came out with an assist and got more minutes. What did he play? 70, 75, something like that. Like that's good minutes. Like I'll take it. Like he will score eventually. It's Haaland. I'm not worried about that whatsoever.
I'm not arsed about Haaland never scoring again. You might think that's crazy, but I'm not bothered because look, he was rusty last night. As to be expected, but if you watched him, Brentford had 2 and 3 man on Haaland every single time, and that created space, that created allowances for Fodens and De Bruyne's and Alvarez's to get into central, dangerous positions. So if Haaland never scores a goal again, but Foden picks up hat-tricks, Alvarez picks up loads of goals, De Bruyne picks up a load of goals because defenders are so focused on Haaland, that's cool with me.
Yeah.
Like Foden doesn't get all those goals last night without Haaland being able to drag and be a magnet for defenders.
He had a free header in the box. He had a free header in the 18-yard box. Now, that doesn't happen. Brentford played a back five, and you're telling me Phil Foden had a free header in the box? Nah. Nah. It's fine. I really don't care. Maybe he is unsettled. Fuck me, I don't know. And I don't live next to him. I don't know what goes on in his head, but to me, he seems quite settled and quite happy winning games of football.
Exactly. That's why if Haaland plays, Alvarez must start because Alvarez is good at long shots. He sure as fuck takes a lot of them. he takes a lot of them, doesn't he? Am I wrong?
Yeah, begrudgingly, yes. I don't, because every time there's a few that he takes where you're like, wow, like he's hit that well. And sometimes it got, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Sometimes it goes in the back of the net, sometimes the keeper saves it, sometimes you go, wow, that was really close to a goal. And then other times you just like, he ends up in Rose head and you're just like, why? Why have you blasted it? Why have you put your entire body weight through the ball and sent it to space? Why?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a funny one, but it is linked to my point that Haaland and BREMCI is here. The team is stacked with quality. Marco Haaland creates space for KDB, Foden, and gets more free roam. Exactly. Like that's one of the perks of having Erling Haaland. He's such a presence and he's such a concern for defenders that it makes a lot of space. It makes a lot of space, and it's up to other players then to be dangerous. And Phil Foden last night was dangerous, and so was De Bruyne. Like, if you're going to give players like De Bruyne and Foden space, you're going to be punished. So teams now, when they go into facing City with Erling Haaland, they now have to think about, right, do we put a lot of effort into congesting Haaland's space to nullifying Haaland and run the risk that Phil Foden, who's in flying form right now, Kevin De Bruyne, who's in flying form right now, get more space to be dangerous? Or do we try and stand off Haaland a bit and put pressure on his service in Foden and De Bruyne and Bernardo and stuff? Then you're in the position where Haaland's in the kind of area where if he gets one or two chances, he's going to bag one or two. We have such an array in our toolbox, in our attacking toolbox. But I do believe that if Haaland can get one or two goals maybe this weekend, the floodgates should open. I'm not bothered about Haaland being rusty right now. I'm not bothered about De Bruyne being rusty right now, even though he's smashing it. It's all building up towards March. March is the month that, in my opinion, is going to define the season. March is going to decide, for me, if we win the Premier League or not. I mean, how many games have we got in March? 1 in the Premier League, 2 in the Premier League, 3, 4. 4 games in March in the league. United at home, Liverpool away, Brighton away, and Arsenal at home. 3, 6, 9, 12 points available. If we get 12 points in March, in my opinion, we've won the league. Because we're taking 3 points off Liverpool, and we're taking 3 points off Arsenal. And I fully back both of them to slip up in other games. And then you think of the momentum we'll take from that into April and May. Boy, what do you think?
I mean, that's the dream, but even now, looking at the fact that we are 2 points behind Liverpool with a game in hand, like, everything goes to plan going into Anfield. I take a point. Like going into Anfield without the pressure to win, where the pressure's on them to win. That's an ideal situation because, of course, you want to win the game, and we have the capability to win the game. A draw's good, man. Like a draw at Anfield in an ideal situation, going in just knowing you need to not lose to put yourself in the best position possible. Because I back us to beat Arsenal. I'm sorry, like Arsenal they've just absolutely scored Liverpool, and they have a great defense. But I'm sorry, that home game against Arsenal, genuinely, there could be another massacre coming. Like, I feel like revenge. They beat us twice this season. Community Shield, once in the league. Our home record against them is unbelievable. I think if we need to win that game, to really cement the title, it could be another 4. I'm being deadly serious when I say that. Like, we could have something for Arsenal in that period, but that Liverpool game, that whole run of fixtures is just disgusting. So, these games we've got now, I've got to win them all, so we can put ourselves in that position where we're going. We can win the league essentially in March. And of course, you can't mathematically, or you're probably not going to be able to mathematically win it. But
we're not going to slip up from that point.
They'd be relying on us capitulating, which, I mean, touch wood, of course.
They'd be relying on us doing what Arsenal did last season.
Yeah, obviously touch wood because it's not something real, but they'd be relying on a massive collapse from us, which over the previous title races has been the other way around, where we've won it on other teams collapsing, like Arsenal, like Liverpool. It's uncharacteristic for us to slip up that bad to where we bottle it, essentially. At least under Pep, anyway, so... Yeah.
So once Haaland and everybody gets up to speed for March, I'm pretty happy. But yeah, listen, I reckon that's probably a good note to finish it on. We've been live for just over an hour now. It's been a good conversation. Haaland, Grealish, Foden, Brentford, the league title, it's all heating up nicely. It's all falling into place nicely for us. I feel really good about the whole situation. I feel really confident that hashtag number 4 in a row is coming. I really do believe that. But yeah, tomorrow night is Wednesday night. Is there any football on tomorrow? I don't think so.
Chelsea play Villa in an FA Cup replay, but that doesn't really concern us too much.
No, it doesn't. So we'll be live tomorrow again at 10:30. Yeah, streams go rapid and an hour passes rapid. I know, BREMCI. Time flies when you're having fun, man. Time flies when you're having fun. And that's because you guys make these streams so fun. 4P's coming. I believe you guys make these streams so fun, man. You guys are the community that we love speaking with. We love going live at late at night and chatting to. So make sure you've hit the like button if you enjoyed the stream. Make sure you hit the like button if you're watching it on playback. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new around here. We are now less than 90 subscribers away from 7k. 7k would be crazy to hit. And then if you want to join the community and help support me and Joe, the link is in the chat there. It's $3.99 a month. You'd be like BREMCI there with a nice badge beside your name. And you're just helping us out, really massively helping us out. But if you don't want to do that, just hit the like button. It's free to do. And share it around, man. Share it around. Help grow the community. It's kind of almost like a podcast me and Joe do now, these late night chats. It's just an hour or so long podcast where we chat about whatever. Let you guys have your say. And it's all good natured. It's all good fun. And we'll do it again tomorrow at 10:30. Don't even know what we'll talk about, but we'll figure it out between now and then. Good night and God bless, people. Wrap her up, Joey boy.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand, 'cause you are